Hey, what's going on everybody? Gus here. This is my old M1 13-inch MacBook Pro with 8GB of unified memory and 512 gigs of storage. And this machine was awesome. I used it since launch and I have zero regrets. But then Apple upgraded both the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros with the M2 Pro and M2 Max chips. So it was kind of like, it was time, right? And it's insane. Now, okay, insane needs qualifiers, so let's just talk a little bit about what these machines actually mean in terms of upgrades for anyone who already has an M1 Pro or M1 Max MacBook Pro or is looking for an upgrade. Because from the outside, externally at least, these machines are indistinguishable from one another. Coming from the M1 version, these are still the same incredible builds with the same amazing display that does, yes, have a notch that is honestly a poor use of space, but you kind of got used to it on the day-to-day. The build itself is still awesome. The keyboard is great. It has the best trackpad across every single notebook that you can grab right now. And this is still the same design that brought back all of the ports. Because as you guys remember, this version had these two USB-Cs here and then a headphone jack on the other side, and that was it. But this beauty brought back everything, or almost everything. You get 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, a high-quality headphone jack, an SD card slot that, yes, a bunch of creatives use. I don't, because I record everything through an iPhone, so I don't use SD cards, but again, nice to have. And HDMI and MagSafe that actually is capable of fast charging these things. So from the outside, again, indistinguishable from the M1 version, but still an absolutely amazing laptop. These notebooks are like fantastic. But we all know that the improvements that actually brought you guys to this video is, well, where we all know it counts the most. On the inside. So instead of M1 Pro and M1 Max, you get M2 Pro and M2 Max. And both chips bump up to 12 cores on the CPU with 2 extra efficiency cores. And in the GPU, you get up to 38 cores, which is like insane, up to 96 gigs of unified memory. We're still talking about a laptop, remember, and up to 8 terabytes of really fast storage. Now, all of that tallies up together to an eye-watering $6,500. Yes, it is super expensive, but I mean, look at what it can do compared to other stuff that you would maybe spend $6,000 on. Looking at you, Mac Pro, and some Windows machines with, you know, the new 4090s, for example. This one, though, has an M2 Pro chip inside, so 12-core CPU, with 19 cores in the GPU department, which is the new baseline, 3 cores above the previous 16 one, 32 gigs of unified memory, and 1 terabyte of really fast storage. And that 1 terabyte of storage is actually an upgrade that I would say it's really worth it to get, because it's insanely fast. It's between 6,000 and 7,000 gigs per second of read and write speeds, and I would say it's totally worth it. And with this configuration, I still have a pretty big overhead to just throw stuff against it, and it will just like do it without skipping a beat. Awesome performance. Okay, now back to the M2 chips. They are capable of delivering up to 1 hour of extra battery life, which is definitely those 2 extra efficiency cores flexing their muscles, and up to 20% better CPU performance and 30% better GPU performance. Those numbers, you can see a bunch of different tests online on YouTube already of people actually getting that extra 1 hour of battery life or something like that with those increased performance numbers, which is awesome. And it's really interesting to see because the architecture is the same. It's the same 5nm process, but the clocks are higher on all those cores in the chip. So they're able to get more performance with at least the same level of efficiency as before, or maybe even a little better, without actually improving or changing the manufacturing process. Now, aside from that, you do have some other improvements with the M2 versions. One of them, I'd say it's more of a quality of life improvement, depending on who you are and your personal tastes in sound, because these are still the best speakers you can find on any laptop out there. Even better than some monitor speakers, to be honest. But there's a little bit of difference in tuning in both the low end and the high end with the M2s versus the M1s. If you like the highs to be a little quelled down, the M2 is probably going to sound a little bit better to you. But again, It's a toss-up. Depending on who you are, you might actually like the M1 better. The other improvements, I would say, are more future-proofing than anything else. For example, Bluetooth 5.3. Nice to have. HDMI 2.1. If you have an 8K display and you want to just grab 8K 60 out of this HDMI, now you can. Or up to 4K 240 Hz, which is nuts, honestly. But you could potentially get 3 Pro Display XDRs, which are 6K each, and an 8K TV at 60 Hz, plug them all in, and this is your personal power battle station, and it's a laptop. It's a laptop. And lastly, Wi-Fi 6E, which is capable of over 1 gigabit per second connections over Wi-Fi, something that I can't take advantage of because I don't have a Wi-Fi 6E router right now in the studio. So again, future-proofing, nice to have. But for the time being, I would just say that these are absolutely awesome machines. If you already have an M1 Pro, MacBook Pro, I would say that these are not exactly an upgrade for you. If you're coming from something like this, a base M1 machine or something like that, or another kind of laptop or another system, then these are definitely worth it because what it can deliver is basically unmatched. There's nothing on par with what the MacBooks are able to achieve right now, if you need power on the go. Because if you don't, maybe a Mac Mini with an M2 Pro chip inside or a Mac Studio could be better options for you. They're potentially going to be less expensive than this for roughly the same amount of performance, or perhaps even a little bit better performance at that, which is something that I'm actually contemplating because I really don't need all this power on the go. But I was kind of used to the laptop notebook form factor, so I kind of gravitated towards that directly. But right now I'm honestly thinking about testing out, and obviously I'm going to review that and put it up on the channel for you guys, both the M2 Pro Mac Mini and the Mac Studio, to see if I could get away with those instead of this. But either way, these are, just as potentially the previous one were, the best laptops that you can grab right now. They are awesome. Well done, Apple. And that's been it. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Gus, and I'll catch you guys later.